What is going on, Arizona sports fan family? How are we doing out here today on this Friday afternoon, ladies and gentlemen? Big shout out here to everybody that's currently here in the chat, in the YouTube world, as well as the Instagram world. Appreciate you all for tuning in here as always. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot to talk about today. Obviously, this is the time where we got a lot of speculation, a lot of rumors to lead up to the most exciting thing for the Arizona Cardinals, obviously this last season, and that is the 2024 offseason. So we got some more stuff coming about that we obviously need to dive into. If you didn't already read the title of this video, Kliff Kingsbury is back in the NFL. Yes, he is. We're going to talk about that and a potential move up from the Raiders. Up to maybe the number one overall spot, or maybe a potential just a suitor to move up to try to get a QB for their respected team. So a lot to dive into today. Definitely huge shout out here to the sponsors of the video. Obviously, Underdog Fantasy. If you do like daily fantasy, use promo code AZSF and get a deposit match up to $100 with your initial deposit. And if you do want FOCO, any like Cardinal apparel or anything, right? If you're a Raiders fan and you happen to jump on here, jump on FOCO and you can use promo code AZ Sports to get 10% off of any, Raiders, Cardinals apparel, anything you want. That promo code is available for anybody to use. Everything will be in the description below. And one more shout out here to the most recent sponsor of the video. If you're looking for a brand new sports book, look no further than here in Phoenix, Arizona. We do got a casino known as Desert Diamond. We recently partnered together. So if you're looking for a brand new sports book, in the description of this video, you will see a link that you're able to click on, and you should be able to download that nice easy app, and then we're going to be able to use that a lot more. Obviously, I think we're going to be starting next week to get some picks going for the Super Bowl, and then obviously come 2024, we're going to be using that sports book a lot because official sponsor here of the AZ Sports Fan on YouTube. So huge shout out. Let me go ahead and just give some real big shout outs here to Otis. We got Mike, we got Adrian, Marco, Christopher in the house, and Gabriel. I see you up there as well. Obviously, Big Bro started it up here as well. Thank you so very much for being here in the Instagram world. Let's take a look to see who is here. We might not be streaming through Instagram. We'll see. I think there's some issues going on with Instagram. No worries. Let's get started here, everybody. Let's get started. All right, so we got some breaking news coming out here of the world of the Arizona Cardinals, or actually, I'm sorry, I'm so used to saying that. We got some breaking news coming out of the world of the NFL, but former head coach of the Arizona Cardinals is now back in the NFL, and if you guys do not know, you know now. Mike Garafolo ended up reporting this, I believe it was yesterday, that the Raiders have locked in on Kliff Kingsbury as their new offensive coordinator. No deal yet, but it's expected to get done. Following a year at USC, the former Arizona Cardinals head coach returns to the NFL as part of Antonio Pierce's coaching staff. Now, I want to be very specific here, ladies and gentlemen. I have never had any ill against Kliff Kingsbury as a person. I just didn't ever feel like he was a good head coach, in the grand scheme of things. But obviously that now that he's getting a new opportunity here with the Raiders, all I can say is good luck, right? Good luck to him and his endeavors, and I hope it works out for him in the grand scheme of things. But one thing that we really want to focus here on this specific stream is the idea that maybe they might be in play. Maybe they might be in play for an opportunity of trading up. So we're going to be diving into all that here today. So before we get started here, I want to go ahead and make sure that everybody is fully aware, and I want to get everybody's opinion. What is your thoughts? What are your thoughts on Kliff Kingsbury coming back to the NFL? Do you care at all? Let me know here in the chat. Now, one of the biggest reasons why we're talking about it, and I want to be very, very specific, is because Kliff Kingsbury has been linked to, we all know, Kliff Kingsbury has been linked to Caleb Williams, which he was a part of the staff in USC, and Caleb Williams is kind of the consensus number one overall pick for, most teams. So there's some sort of link there, right? There's some sort of link. So there might be another suitor that might want to jump up to the top 3. Now, I think when you're talking about everybody's mock draft, for the most part, everybody has Caleb Williams going number 1, right? Whether it's the Chicago Bears or they trade away that pick, right? To New England, to Washington, to Denver, to Atlanta, to the Las Vegas Raiders, right? Anybody who goes to that number 1 overall spot, for the most part, everybody has a consensus that is going to be Caleb Williams from USC, the quarterback, right? Just because he's got so many dynamic tools within himself that I think a lot of people are really excited about the upside. And the way he plays is very similar to the play style of Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying he is Patrick Mahomes, but that's what a lot of people are comparing him to in terms of his play style. So that's what a lot of people are really excited about. So right now, where the Raiders are standing at in the NFL draft, they're sitting at the 13th overall spot here in the NFL draft. Now, we have seen teams jump up from 13 or somewhere in the teens to the number 1 overall spot. We've seen teams jump from 12 to the 3rd overall spot, right? We've seen it. We've seen it all happen. This can be something very similar here as well, where we might see a team that can get very, very desperate, because if you look across the entirety of the NFL, I don't think probably about like 8 to 10 teams, they're so unknown with their quarterbacks for the future, right? They might have a bridge quarterback, but it isn't their future quarterback. So you got teams like the Broncos, which we already dived into the potential of maybe the Broncos jumping up to potentially get a Caleb Williams. There was that report that ended up coming out that says they really like Caleb and they want to jump up and get the opportunity to get him. Obviously, they have to make a deal with Chicago in order for them to do that. But now Las Vegas Raiders is now in the mix as well. Now there's other teams that, have potential to potentially be that team as well, like Atlanta. Minnesota might be a dark horse as well, because they don't have Kirk Cousins under contract. They don't have him. They don't have him under contract right now. So there's still a lot of unknown right now pertaining to what's going to happen, right? What's going to happen with that number 1 overall pick? Now, obviously, I think when you ask the common Arizona Cardinal fan, I think we can all agree on one thing. I think we can all agree on one thing, is that one of the biggest, what's the word? The biggest threat we have on who's going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. from us is the Bears. It is the biggest threat. I know there's some people out there saying that we can potentially have a threat of, what is that other team? The Patriots? I don't know. I'm just not fully sold that the Patriots are fully committed to not getting a quarterback. I know it would be smart to get a generational talent like him, and if he falls, it is smart, but I don't know. They got a brand new coaching staff. I don't think they want to roll with Zappy, and I don't think they want to roll with Mac Jones, but that's just one man's opinion. We'll have to kind of wait and see what happens and how it all kind of shakes out. But now we have the Raiders. Right now we have the Raiders as a potential suitor to trade up for Caleb Williams. And why? Why do you ask? Why? Because of this, ladies and gentlemen. Former head coach of the Arizona Cardinals has spent last year with USC is exactly where Caleb Williams is coming from. This is why. Now, there was a rumor, or there was reports that Kliff Kingsbury was actually interviewing for the position of OC for the Bears. Now, obviously, we know that the Bears went a completely different direction, but they did bring Kliff Kingsbury in for an interview. So with Kliff Kingsbury comes those speculations, right? It comes those speculations of, hey, maybe Kliff Kingsbury wants to come back to the NFL to groom another quarterback. So now we'll have to kind of take a look to see, well, what can the Raiders offer? What can the Raiders offer? We've seen it happen before to the number 3 overall spot in the 2021 NFL draft to get Trey Lance. And Trey Lance is no longer a part of that organization. They ended up trading him over to the Dallas Cowboys, which is completely crazy and absurd because they gave up so many draft capital, so many first-round picks to go up to that 3rd overall spot. He's no longer a part of that organization. I think they're fine. They're going to the Super Bowl, so I don't think they're even worried about that anymore. But what the 49ers ended up giving away to move to that number 3 spot from 12 was 3 first-round picks, including that 12th overall. So they gave up their 2021, 2022, and 2023 first-round picks, and then a 3rd-round pick in 2022 to move up over to that 3rd overall spot from 12. So, I mean, it's attainable. It's attainable. But like, let's live in a world where the Bears do stay pat, right? Let's say we live in a world where the worst case scenario happens for the Cardinals, right? Let's say we live in a scenario where the worst case scenario happens for the Cardinals and the Bears trade to 3, right? Let's say we live in a world where the Bears trade to 3, and that's what the New England Patriots. And what if the New England Patriots want to get Caleb Williams? And it's Caleb Williams, Drake May. And guess what? If that does happen, they ain't getting quarterback. The Bears are not getting quarterback. They're going to get Marvin Harrison Jr. at 3. But then that puts the Arizona Cardinals in a good position because we got Jaden Daniels sitting there, right? Which is projected to be the 3rd best quarterback in this year's draft. And I've been hearing some people out there talk about J.J. McCarthy from Michigan. I'm not sure if he's going to go top 10, but if there's a very desperate team that really wants to jump in front of a lot of these teams that potentially want it, man, the Cardinals can really go after a big haul, a huge haul. Now, Trey Lance, he was chosen 3rd overall. 3rd overall, ladies and gentlemen. The Arizona Cardinals are sitting at the 4th overall spot. If Marvin Harrison Jr. does get sniped from the Arizona Cardinals and the worst case scenario happens, then we got a potential trade back on our hands. Or the Cardinals can stay pat. Or and get either Olu Fashanu, Joe Alt, or Malik Neighbors, right? Options. It's just now with the Raiders being thrown in the mix, now it gets a little bit more interesting. I don't think the Raiders are fully sold on Jalen Daniels. Obviously, I think they want I think they want Caleb Williams. But if a team's desperate enough, you never know. So now we're looking at the Raiders to be a potential trade-up candidate. We just talked about the Broncos not too long ago. We heard that report saying that the Broncos surely want to get Caleb Williams. And guess what? Aren't they in the same division? I believe they are, if I'm not mistaken. I'll just go ahead and let me just do a real quick Google search. I could swear they're in the same division. Yeah, they are. Yeah, Kansas City, the Raiders, Broncos, and the Chargers. I don't know if the Broncos are going to want to see the Raiders trade up. I don't know if the Raiders are going to want to see the Broncos trade up and get one of these potential quarterbacks. So it just leaves a lot of opportunity for the Cardinals. If the Bears trade out of that number 1 after 4 or 5, or after 5, right? Because we're 4. I think the Cardinals have a real shot here. Cardinals have a real shot at getting one of the best projected wide receivers in quite some time. And I know somebody asked me this. Somebody asked me this because they're like, you are so obsessed with Marvin Harrison Jr. It's not that I'm obsessed, ladies and gentlemen. It's not that I'm obsessed, but anybody you talk about, anybody you talk to when it comes down to Marvin Harrison Jr., everybody has the consensus saying this is the best wide receiver we've seen come out in quite some time. That's what people were saying. The consensus is out there that this is one of the best wide receivers that anybody has seen in quite some time. So, excuse me if I get a little gushy with the opportunity of maybe getting our next Larry Fitzgerald, right? We haven't had a Larry Fitzgerald since Larry Fitzgerald was drafted. So I apologize if I feel you're just hearing the same thing over and over again, but I think this is everybody's prize. I think this is everybody's, this is what everybody wants. Generational talent. You don't hear that very often when it comes to wide receivers. I guess you're hearing a lot of the generational talent being thrown around everywhere now, and that's true. I could agree with that. But this is, creme de la creme. Right? Chef's kiss. This is what people are talking about. And it's not just his play, it's who he is as a person. And I don't think people quite understand what I mean by that. If you have a dad that's in the Hall of Fame, Marvin Harrison, and you got a kid and Marvin Harrison Jr., what does that tell me? That tells me that he knows exactly what he needs to do to be in the NFL. That's what this tells me, that he knows exactly how to be a pro at his young age of, what is he, 22, 23? 21. I apologize. 21. He knows exactly how to be because his dad's already been there. So I apologize up front if you guys feel like I'm just talking about this man verbatim, back and forth, but hear me well, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody's talking about any other prospect outside the quarterbacks as much as this man right here. This is a shoo-in. This is a consensus. This is going to be a bona fide man that we haven't seen in quite some time. I haven't seen a wide receiver being hyped up as much as this man here. And this is consensus, big boards everywhere. I think the last time I remember this, probably Julio Jones, maybe, right? I mean, people got excited about Jamar Chase. People got excited about Justin Jefferson, but Justin Jefferson wasn't picked to the 20s. People were excited about Lamb. People were excited about, Jerry Jeudy. But no, it's not been like this. It has not been like this. So that's why we talk about what we talk about, to potentially get different scenarios and how we can get this man on an Arizona Cardinal roster in an Arizona Cardinal uniform. So now, let's talk about it again. For the new people that's chimed in, if you could do me a huge favor, definitely do me a huge favor, smack up that like button. Do it for the algorithm. Do it for the other Cardinal fans that are out there that are looking for a home. Smack it up. And hopefully we can get some more people trickling through and obviously joining in the conversation. But we're basically talking about this. Yesterday, news came down that the Raiders are now locked in on Kliff Kingsbury as their new offensive coordinator. As of yesterday, when this tweet was tweeted out, and I believe he's already signed with the Raiders, but it says he's done. He's there. He's the offensive coordinator for the Raiders. And good for him, right? Good for him. Making his appearance back into the NFL. Good for Kliff Kingsbury. That's all I got to say. Good for him. He didn't work out for the Cardinals. To me, he wasn't head coach material. Let's see what he does as an offensive coordinator. He might be that guru that, we were promised he was going to be. It's just, as a head coach, there's just so much going on. You can't focus specifically on the offense because there's another fire you got to put out. And then another fire over here you got to put out. So it might have been just way too much for him. And I think that's exactly where the frustration was coming from a lot of Cardinal fans. It was too big. It was just way too big. So let's take it to the comments. Let's see what you guys have to say here. Because now we got some other teams with the potential to try to move up. And right now what we're hearing is the Vegas Raiders and the Broncos. And the dark horse is always going to be the Minnesota Vikings. The dark horse is always going to be the Minnesota Vikings. Unless they sign Kirk Cousins, I don't know. They're always a potential to move up. Or maybe they might get themselves a J.J. McCarthy. We don't know, right? We don't know exactly how that's going to roll through, but we'll see. Let's go here with ANTR. Should we trade up to lock up Marvin Harrison Jr.? That's a good question. No. 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 I don't think so. I don't think we should. Here's the reason why. This is the way that my mind works. I get it that there's some people out there that feel like the Patriots can potentially get Marvin Harrison Jr. Right now at the 4th overall spot, I could honestly say the Cardinals right now are in a 50-50 position, potentially getting Marvin Harrison Jr. Okay, maybe 45% getting Marvin Harrison Jr. I'll slim the odds just a little bit. Right now, I feel 45% confident in the Cardinals getting Marvin Harrison Jr. Because to me, it's still just the Bears that I'm worried about. Yes, New England is also a possibility, but to me, I don't know. I don't think the Cardinals should, because we're sitting at 4. Yes, would it suck if we missed out on Marvin Harrison Jr.? Yes, it would. But it does bring us more opportunity to trade back, right? Get more draft capital, or still address the offensive line, because the elephant in the room is DJ Humphries. Is DJ Humphries coming back? Is he getting traded? Is he getting released? Is he getting restructured? We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen with DJ Humphries. So the Cardinals still need to make a decision on that. And that puts us in prime position for either Joe or Olu Fashanu. So no, I don't want to trade back just to lock up Marvin for me personally. You're going to ask other Cardinal fans. They might agree. They might say, yes, do it. To me, I don't think so. I think I want to play Russian roulette, and I want to sit where I'm at because I feel confident that he can go there. My only worry is Chicago, but we can't trade to number 1. We can't trade to number 1. It's just, we're going to give up so much draft capital. Monty cooked so much to get us this draft capital to reimagine this roster. And I just feel like we're going to go back to ground zero to try to trade up, where I think we could still get him here at 4. So that's just the way I like to think of it. Like I said, some people might disagree with me, but I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I don't think the Cardinals should, personally. Let's see here. Somebody in the chat, we got Kevin saying Marvin Harrison or trade down and build the O and D line. No other option for us, in my opinion. I agree. Marvin Harrison Jr. is yes. Yes. I guess that's all I could say. Yes. O-line and D-line, yes. I think right now, if you look at most mock drafts, most defensive players don't actually even get picked up till later. I don't know if you guys noticed, but most defensive players don't get picked up till later. So that kind of helps out the Cardinals if they're looking for an edge player with that 27th overall spot. It does help out the Cardinals in the grand scheme of things. But I agree. Marvin Harrison Jr., if he's there at 4, it's a no-brainer. If the Cardinals don't do that, trade back or maybe get yourself an offensive tackle, right? Olu Fashanu, Joe Alt, something like that. Or maybe even Malik Neighbors. Honestly, that's also a guy that's kind of getting thrown out there. I want to see what Malik Neighbors does in the combine. I'm so curious. I'm going to be covering the combine very, very annoyingly this year. So be prepared. Be prepared. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Put your post notification bell on as well, because I'm going to be covering up that combine as best as I possibly can, because we have so many holes. And it's not even funny. So we're definitely going to do our due diligence in this combine as well. So super, super excited about that. Let's see here. Let's keep it with the chat. We got Guyton or Jordan Morgan. Honestly, 1A, 1B. To be honest with you, to be completely 100% frank, that's 1A, 1B to me. I'm cool with it. Whoever falls at 27, I'm cool. Ideally, wide receiver, which is going to be Marvin Harrison Jr. at 4, and then at the 27th, we get somebody to address that O-line. And then with that 35th, we can do literally anything, right? Cornerback, we can do in D-line, right? So it's holes galore, man. It's holes galore for sure. If Marvin Harrison isn't available, what about Mike Evans on a 2-year 3? I do like Mike Evans. I'm not going to lie to you. I do like Mike Evans a lot. I did see a rumor out there that's saying that he wants anywhere between $25 to $30 million a year for Mike Evans. So on paper, I would love Mike Evans to be on this roster because it would automatically upgrade this roster. But the problem is that that's just so much money allocated to one player, where if we only have $42 million right now, right? And I know that number can change. But right now, if we only have $42 million, that's a big, big chunk. That's a huge chunk. I would rather allocate that money to cornerback and maybe D-line, and then maybe getting some wide receiver, because this wide receiving class is deep. I'm not saying everybody's going to be a superstar, but where the Cardinals are at right now, we can really get a really good wide receiver with that 4th overall spot, or if the Cardinals decide to trade back. I'm still really high on Rome Odunze. I do like Malik Neighbors, and obviously everybody loves Marvin, so it is what it is. That cornerback from Iowa was pretty sick. Yes, DeJean. Yeah, I agree with that. 100% agree. Let's see here. Let's keep it with the chat. How do we fix the O-line problem with DJ Humphries out? I think it's simple. Okay, it's not simple, but this is the way that I would like to think of it. With DJ Humphries out, you talk to Paris Johnson and you say, Paris Johnson, we're going to move you to the left. You spend this entirety of this year at right. When you were drafted, you played both positions. You were playing left and you played right. You played right because of the need of what we needed as a Cardinals team. Right now, we need you to go to the left. I think Paris Johnson would be happy with that. I think he's actually more confident in the left side. So we move him to the left is my ideal world. And then we worry about the right side, whether that's going to be Guyton out of OU or Jordan Morgan. Or the Cardinals get a 1 or 2 year Band-Aid in free agency. So that's the way I would actually maneuver it. And if DJ Humphries does stay with the Cardinals, then when he comes back, we can move him to the right. Or heck, if you have any time with the guard, maybe we'll throw you to the guard. You're getting older. I don't know. But DJ Humphries is one of those guys that we can save a lot of money on. A lot of money if we do this right. So that's what I would do, in my opinion. Somebody on the chat says trade Kyler for Fields. No, no, I will not trade Kyler for Fields. And I'm not sure if you're a Cardinal fan. If you are, cool, no worries. I love the opinion, but no, I would not trade Kyler for Fields. There was something that was put out about the Cardinals being a potential suitor to trade up to the number 1 overall spot. I don't know if I fully believe that. I know right now this is the time where there's a lot of rumors. There's a lot of things being put out there right now, right? A lot of speculations to kind of throw more flames into the pot. So just be fully aware of that, guys, that like you might read something, but please keep in mind that it might be scenarios. It might be different things that could happen because, man, this is the time. This is the time where smoke screens are at its all-time high. And you're going to get people, right? You're going to get people saying things like, Josh Rosen's our quarterback, right? You're going to get people saying things like that. It doesn't matter until the end of the draft night. It doesn't matter. So just be fully aware of that rumors are rumors and some of them come true. It's just what it is. It's what it is. It's lying season in the NFL. Exactly. It's lying season in the NFL. 110%. There's no way around it. It is. So you're going to hear a lot of stuff out there, but just, believe what you want to believe. But yes, continue to talk about what we're talking about. Could the Raiders trade up? I can see it happen. I definitely could see it happen. Now, the Raiders, if they do move from 13 to 1, we're probably talking about multiple first-round picks, and I mean multiple first-round picks. Can some might say 3 or 4 first-round picks? Yeah, you possibly can. Here's the reason why. Because if you want to move from 13 to 1, that's 12 spots. And not just that, Caleb Williams is seen to be one of the most interesting prospects coming out in quite some time. So the Raiders are going to have to pay a hefty price. Now, we haven't really heard that the Raiders are wanting to trade up for Caleb, specifically for Caleb, but with Kliff Kingsbury there, it obviously gets more people to kind of start linking dots together. So the only person that we've heard actually say that we want Caleb Williams is the Broncos. And it kind of makes sense if you ask me. That whole Russell Wilson situation was handled weirdly. That is just weird. You're going to bench the guy that's making millions and millions and millions of dollars because of an injury settlement? That's just weird. So I do believe that the Broncos are definitely suitors for quarterbacks, but they're sitting one spot right before, right? They're sitting literally one spot right before their division rivals in the Vegas Raiders. So it's going to matter who's going to take that plunge, right? Either Denver at 12 or Vegas Raiders at 13. And I still do think Minnesota is a dark horse. I said this multiple times on the stream. I feel like Minnesota is a dark horse, but I do see them stay pat and maybe getting a quarterback who falls to them, or maybe getting a quarterback in the second round. We don't know. We don't know. But I'm cool with 4. Would I be happy with 3? Yes, of course. Of course I would be happy with 3, right? Not having the anxiety of maybe the New England Patriots. Of course I would be happy, but I'm cool with 4. I think we're in a really, really good position with the 4th and the 27th and then the 35th and the second round. So I think we're locked and loaded to really, really change this roster up for the good. Let's keep it with the chat here. Appreciate you guys for being here, by the way. Thank you so very much. It absolutely does mean the world. If you guys do like, and I've been asking you guys this a lot, we're trying to do much more live streams on this channel. We were doing it a lot in 2022. 2023 sucked. I'm not going to lie to you, y'all. It was really hard for me to jump on camera for 30 minutes, for an hour, because it's the same thing over and over again, right? We can only glorify more victories as much as we possibly can. But if you truly do like these live streams and this engagement with the Bird Gang here in the chat, let me know with the like button, smack up that like button, and also let me know here in the comments. Let me know in the comments and subscribe, and obviously put your post notification bell on, because there's so much news coming your way. I promise you, so much news coming your way, and I'm really excited about this offseason. Somebody in the chat says, what if we grab Penix at 27? Bruh. Bruh, I don't know, bruh. You're just real trying to cancel me right now, huh? It's a Friday and I'm trying to get canceled right now. Sheesh. I don't see the Cardinals using a first round pick on a quarterback. I don't. I think the Cardinals have so many holes, and I think that we need to address those holes. It's the way I'll leave it. It's the way I'm gonna leave it. Somebody on the chat says Falcons, Raiders, Broncos, Vikings. Eyeballs. Yeah, I agree. These are the teams. These are the teams that are really considered to be potential guys to move up, right? Maybe not for the Cardinals spot, for that number 1, maybe the number 2. I don't see the Commanders leaving 2. I really don't see the Commanders. They need a quarterback. It's absolutely apparent. Chicago's up in the air. We don't know. Maybe even the Patriots are up in the air. We don't know. Maybe the Cardinals are up in the air. It's depending on how this draft board falls, right? We don't know. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. Let's see here in the chat. Fields is out of Chicago. Caleb wants Fields is out. So there was something that came out earlier today. I'm not sure if you guys saw that as well, but it's on the X/Twitter world, and I'm going to forever call it Twitter world because that's just, I like it better than X. I'm not going to lie. But there was a report that came out here, and I believe it was on the Colin Cowherd show, that Caleb Williams' camp said that he was never one to say he didn't want to go to Chicago. So, you know, there was that thing that came out that said he doesn't want to play for Chicago. They came out and said, no, that's false. They never said that. They never said he doesn't want to be in Chicago. So Chicago might be a very, very well option. And I think that would be beneficial for the Cardinals if that does happen. In my opinion, Kliff Kingsbury is a joke at any coaching. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Some of the chats is this water. Sheesh. All right. Kalen King, Quinn Mitchell, Kamari would be there in the early second. Yeah, I mean, there's positions for days, man. There's a lot of good people here at 27 and most likely at 35th as well. Let's see here. Let's keep reading in the chat. I know there's a lot of people talking to each other. Let's go with David. David says, how do you feel about moving back with the Chargers for a haul of their players and picks? Well, I mean, if we go back to with the Chargers, so the Chargers are sitting at 5 and we're sitting at 4. So, I mean, I don't know how much we would actually realistically get. Like, we might get a second, which, hey, we'll take it, right? We'll take it. I don't know how much we'll realistically get if we just go back one spot. But that's the thing too. Like, it really just depends on how it falls. Like, if Marvin Harrison Jr. is there and we did trade pre-draft to 5th, like, I would be very upset that we had the opportunity to get him and then didn't get him. Does that make sense? Like, I don't know. It's just, it just depends. It just depends. I was worried Patriots may not settle for whatever quarterback is left at 3. It's a good possibility they still might go get the guy they would take at number. Yeah, I mean, maybe. Yeah, maybe. And that's the thing. Like, Daniels right now is flying off a lot of people's draft boards. right? And I can see where you're coming from in terms of like that they're feeling like they're settling. I mean, if they don't want to settle, they have to trade up. It's just the way that it is, right? They don't want to settle, they got to trade up. If they want to settle, then hey, I mean, welcome to being left with the third quarterback available, because it's got to be quarterback. It's got to be, regardless if it's Chicago or not, it's going to be quarterback. Now, yeah, I get it. New England is going to be the wild card, the wild factor, and we don't know what they're going to do. But like, if they were smart, and I'm talking from a biased Cardinals fan, get yourself a quarterback. Get yourself a quarterback. You don't want to try to sell season tickets and bring in them Zappy and bringing up Mac Jones. It ain't gonna happen. We'll see though. Fingers crossed. Somebody in the chat, love the content. Appreciate you, Warrior. Thank you so very much. If you guys do like the content, obviously we have 73 people watching right now. I think we capped up at like 85. So definitely subscribe it up. I know we're going to be a lot busier once March rolls around, or maybe even in the end of February, because the combine is coming up here. So definitely smack up that like button. If you guys aren't subscribed, subscribe it up. And also, if you want to support the channel, we got a lot of amazing sponsors. Obviously, supporting the sponsors helps out the channel as well. We got Underdog Fantasy as well as Foco. If you want to get any Cardinal or any NFL merch, you can use my promo code below. And then we do got a new sponsor here with the sports book, and that is going to be Desert Diamond Sportsbook. So check them out as well. Everything will be in the description below. But yeah, appreciate y'all for tuning in. So I just wanted to go ahead and give you guys just that real quick news, being that Kliff Kingsbury is now back in the NFL. And obviously it's bringing up a lot of people saying, hey, maybe, right? Maybe the Raiders can potentially go after the quarterback that he spent all last year being with. So, and I did see some rumors out there saying that they might want to trade up for a quarterback. So this is going to be interesting, y'all. This is going to be very interesting. I think right now we got a couple months before the draft, or less than 2 months for the draft. And then we got about a month and a half from free agency. So we got news coming our way. So I'm super, super excited. We will be closing up shop here today. I just want to make sure I give you guys just, constant content galore. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. I absolutely do. All right, y'all. Thank you so very much for tuning in. As always, we're going to be closing up shop right here. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to every single one of you guys here in the chat. All right, y'all. Have a great rest of your day. And as always, go Cards.